Hey guys, welcome to Vlogmas Day 1. So every weekday up until Christmas Eve, which is actually a Sunday, so I guess until the 22nd, I'm going to be sharing a new video here. So from the 1st to the 22nd, Monday through Friday, I will have a new video for you guys. And I have a lot of fun videos planned, plus some giveaways, so stay tuned. I thought with it being December 1st, the best thing, I don't know, there's so many best things. A really good thing to start with would be my winter TBR. So I've gone through my shelves and I've picked up probably too many books for my winter TBR, but I'm kind of in the mood for a bit of diversity. Plus there are some books that have been on my shelf for a very long time and I just want to get them off of my shelf. So yeah, books are on here for a variety of different reasons, I guess. I have separated this kind of by genre. We're gonna start with fantasy because that is one of the stacks that has the most books on it right now. I've got fantasy, I've got dystopian, which I'm gonna probably just throw in with the fantasy. I've got like a YA kind of like contemporary, maybe kind of like suspensey book, one nonfiction, two classics, and then a bunch of middle grade books. So let's just start with the dystopian, I guess, because then after that we can get into the fantasy. The first one is The Alliance. This is some kind of dystopian about the Old Order Mennonite community. When Leora sees a small plane crash in her Old Order Mennonite community, she has no idea it's foreshadowing of things to come. Soon after the young pilot regains consciousness, they realize his instruments were destroyed by the same power outage that killed the electricity at the community store, where Englishers are stranded with dead cell phones and cars that won't start. And I have no idea where this book is going to go. I picked it up in a little free library probably like almost 2 years ago now. But that is an interesting idea, is a massive power outage, but people that really don't rely on electricity wouldn't notice it the same way, and I can assume people are going to start flocking there. So this is number one. I thought it'd be fun to read the first sentence of each of these books as well, because I like judging a book by its first sentence. A good first sentence really can pull me in. So let's try this. Buffered by grassland, the collision is strangely quiet. So that's number one. And these are just a pile of possibilities. I probably won't get to all of these. This one though is a series I thought I was going to start this last year, and that is the Mistborn era 2, the Wax and Wane series. So it starts with the Alloy of Law. This is Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn series. He like groups them into 3 different groups. So I read the first series. The second era here, I think we are like Wild West setting. And I know he's currently writing the next ones, and I think they're like set in the 80s if I'm right. So this is a land, well, in the first series, people draw their powers from different metals, like ingesting different metals. And I think that is also true of this. I have read quite a few Sanderson books at this point, and the Mistborn series was some of my favorite, or my first introduction to him. I think I read the Skyward series, or the first book at least, first, and that's science fiction. So this was my first introduction to Sanderson fantasy, and I really enjoyed it. This was back when I wasn't reading like any fantasy, and so it's about time I continued with this series. I think this is going to be fun. The next one is one I hauled, I think earlier in the fall. It's called The Light Between Worlds, and the whole cover, it is quite silvery. It kind of made me like feel like winter vibes. They thought their story had ended. Oh, see, I knew I was going to forget to read the first sentences. Back up. First sentence of this one. Ooh, it's got like a bunch of different maps. There's like map number 1 and number 2. The first sentence of the prologue. Wax crept along the ragged fence in a crouch, his boots scraping the dry ground. First sentences are so interesting. Okay, back to The Light Between Worlds. I just know that this is, I think, a portal fantasy, so I don't really know much at all. They thought their story had ended. It had only just begun. 6 years ago, Evelyn and Philippa Hapwell cowered from airstrikes in a London bomb shelter, but that night took a turn when the sisters were swept away to a strange and beautiful kingdom called the Woodlands, where they lived for years in a forest straight out of myth and legend. Oh, okay, so we are escaping World War II here and going to some fantasy world? That's interesting. I really have come to enjoy historical fantasy in the last few years. I don't know if this one is exactly, or if it goes from historical fiction to fantasy, but it's made me research a lot of history. We're burying old Nick in the back garden. I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued. Another winter feeling fantasy book is Spinning Silver. This one definitely has cold vibes to it. I really like the cover. It's intriguing. I don't really know anything about this. I think this is a fairy tale retelling of some sort. Spinning Silver draws readers deeper into this glittering realm of fantasy, where the boundary between wonder and terror is thinner than a breath, and safety can be stolen as quick as a kiss. Miriam is the daughter and granddaughter of money lenders, but her father's inability to collect his debts has left his family on the edge of poverty. Until Miriam takes matters into her own hands. Hardening her heart, the young woman set out to claim what is owed and soon gains a reputation for being able to turn silver into gold. Okay, so Rumpelstiltskin, I think. Man, it's been a long time since I've read fairy tales. Let's see the first sentence. The real story isn't half as pretty as the one you've heard. Ooh, I do like that kind of beginning. That intrigues me. And then the last fantasy book on the list here is Steel Striker by Marie Lu. This is book 2 in a duology. I read book 1 maybe spring, summertime. It's just such a beautiful book. I loved book 1 too. Even if I didn't enjoy book 1, I might have just kept it for the cover. I think they're beautiful. So this is a fantasy world where people are kind of like, in some ways, trapped in a city. There are these, I can't remember what they were, like beasts that live in the forest, and our main character was one of the people that went and tried to fight the beasts. Things went down. Obviously, I don't think I can say a whole lot about book 2. Yeah, let's see if I can read the first sentence. Ooh, another map. I really like maps in books. I never look at them, like, other than when I first open the book. I never generally flip back to them, but I really like them. Okay. Your first lesson as a Federation soldier is efficiency. Okay, I did see the second sentence and I kind of like it. You learn to burn down neighborhoods with ease. That's a little... It's intriguing. It's not very positive. Okay, onto my one, like, YA, I think, suspense kind of book. Not If I Save You First by Ali Carter. This is a book that my daughter wants me to read ASAP. It says, find the boy, save the boy, kiss is crossed out, kill is crossed out, make the boy pay for what he did to you. And this one definitely has like winter vibes. It's got a very snowy cover. Apparently it takes place in Alaska, so I feel like the winter would be a good time for this. He has a killer on his tail. She has a bedazzled hatchet. What could possibly go wrong? My daughter quotes this book a little bit, and I'm very intrigued to see what happens. It says, Maddie thought she and Logan would be friends forever, but when your dad is a Secret Service agent and your best friend is the president's son, sometimes life has other plans. Okay, let's see the first chapter. Ali Carter, I don't know about this book, but some of her books have fabulous first sentences. Okay, it starts out with a letter. Dear Maddie, there's a party at my house tomorrow night. I'll go to the actual, like, first sentence here. Madeline Rose Manchester had absolutely no intention of invading the White House. There we go. That's an Ali Carter first sentence. Intriguing. And her books are such fast reads. Okay, we're gonna put my one nonfiction book in the middle here. I want to reread The Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis. I've read this book a couple times, but I've never read the annotated edition, so I would like to read it out of this edition. This is part of my DIY literature degree that I've been putting together for myself. I have a whole video explaining how you can do it like I'm doing it. One of the things I'm doing is reading a lot of C.S. Lewis books, and before I get into too many that I haven't read before, I really wanted to reread this one. So this is the story of Wormwood. Wormwood is a demon that is kind of attached to this man, or he's like designated to this man, and this man has just become a Christian. And so Wormwood is getting letters from his uncle Screwtape, and Screwtape is giving him advice on how to lure this man away from Christianity and from Christ. And it's such an intriguing look at what might be going on in the spiritual realm. I don't read books very often, and the fact that I've read this one twice already and want to read it again should tell you something. Let's see how this one starts. Oh, this has the Screwtape letters, and Screwtape proposes a toast. I don't know if that is normally in the books. This book also has C.S. Lewis's 10 favorite books listed, I'm assuming. Interesting. My dear Wormwood, I note what you say about guiding your patient's reading and taking care that he sees a good ideal of his materialist friend. Okay, so that's the first letter to Wormwood from Screwtape. And it looks like it's going to have a lot of annotations. Apparently, we are going to be learning about some Old English words and different things that C.S. Lewis is pulling from, different times that these subjects come up again in his writing. Okay, my 2 classics for December. I picked a big chunker, so I thought I would keep it smaller. I would really like to read the Pickwick Papers. I don't know anything about it other than some references in Little Women, and that's all I know. G.K. Chesterton described the Pickwick Papers as something nobler than a novel, which emitted that sense of everlasting youth, a sense as of the gods gone wandering in England. Okay, I don't know. Let's see what this first sentence is. Keep giving Dickens a try. I haven't really loved much of his works, but I do want to read them all. Oh dear, the list of characters is multiple pages long. I'm going to struggle with that. The first ray of light which illumines the gloom and converts into a dazzling brilliance that obscurity in which the earlier history of the public career of the immortal Pickwick would appear to be involved is derived from the perusal of the following entry in the Transactions of the Pickwick Club, which the editor of these papers feels the highest pleasure in laying before his readers as a proof of the careful attention, indefatigable assiduity, and nice discrimination with which his search among the multifarious documents confided to him has been conducted. Okay. Whoa. That was like, that whole paragraph was the first sentence. Like, oh dear, Chantel. On a lighter note, from my other classic, I want to read Mistress Pat by Ellen Montgomery. This one will conclude the duology for me. I didn't love book 1, Pat of Silverbush, but I didn't mind it. I did a book club on it earlier in, I think that one was September? I don't remember. Earlier in the summer or the fall. And yeah, I just want to kind of conclude this series and always be picking away at my Ellen Montgomery books until I've read them all. So this one we follow Patricia Gardner. I can't remember how old she was in book 1, but it looks like in this one she's already 20. So she's aged since that one. The first sentence here is, there were hundreds of trees, big and little, on the Silverbush farm, and every tree was a personal friend of Pat's. That's a much easier first sentence than Dickens. So that one will be an easier read. And then I have a stack of middle grade books. I have been avoiding reading middle grade books unintentionally. I haven't been interested in them. And I have quite a few that I've had for a long time. So I want to start picking away at them, especially because middle grade books are fast reads. So yeah. Some of these I've had since like the beginning of my time on BookTube. I remember buying these from Book Outlet like right near the beginning. The first one here is The Devil's Arithmetic. This one is about World War II. Hannah is tired of holiday gatherings. All her family ever talks about is the past. In fact, it seems to her that's what they do every Jewish holiday. Oh, okay. But this year's Passover will be different. Hannah will be mysteriously transported into the past. So I'm assuming she gets transported to World War II. I'm tired of remembering, Hannah said to her mother as she climbed into the car. Sounds like the start of a middle grade book. Then I have Out of My Mind by Sharon Draper. This one has been very recommended to me and I have not read it yet. It's about 11-year-old Melody who has a photographic memory. Her head is like a video camera that's always recording. Always. And there's no delete button. She's the smartest kid in her whole school, but no one knows it. Most people, her teachers and doctors included, don't think she's capable of learning. And up until recently, her school days consisted of listening to the same preschool level alphabet lessons again and again and again. If only she could speak up. If only she could tell people what she thinks and knows. But she can't because Melody can't talk. She can't walk. She can't write. Being stuck inside her head is making Melody go out of her mind. That is, until she discovers something that will allow her to speak for the first time ever. At last, Melody has a voice, but not everyone around her is ready to hear it. I didn't really know what this book was about. That sounds fascinating. I don't normally read the back, like the entire back of a book, but I had to keep going. The first word is words. Okay, definitely need to prioritize that one. Because I like reading books about foster care, a lot of people recommend The Great Gilly Hopkins to me, so I found this one a while ago. My daughter read it and she didn't love it, so then I've been putting it off. This is 11-year-old Gilly Hopkins, who's famous for being brash, brilliant, and completely unmanageable. None of her foster homes have been able to tame her yet, so she's sent to live with the Trotters, by far the strangest foster family yet, and she decides to put her brilliant mind to work. So, I'm curious about this one. The first sentence is, "Gilly," said Miss Ellis with a shake of her long blonde hair toward the passenger in the back seat. That's it. We've got another historical fiction here. This is Paper Wishes. So this is, I think, about the Japanese internment camps after Pearl Harbor. We follow a 10-year-old, and this book is like, they're so short, a lot of these. They will be really fast reads. This one is, "Grandfather says that a man should walk barefoot on the bare earth every day." That might work if you don't live somewhere that would give you frostbite if you did that. We've got Red Scarf Girl. This is a memoir of the Cultural Revolution. Oh, I love this. There's a note on pronunciation. Like, I'm bad at pronouncing English words, never mind like Chinese words. My battery's gonna die. I'm gonna change it out and then we will continue this. Yeah, this will come in handy. There's a foreword, prologue. "I was born on Chinese New Year." Okay. Yeah, I've had some of these for a while. This one I own at least, I think it's a trilogy, and I think I own at least 2 of the books. It is Chains. She wrote Fever 1793, which I'm trying to remember. I think that was a book that we listened to on audio as a family, and the audiobook was so bad. Like, we did make it through. I'm pretty sure we made it through, but none of us enjoyed it. And it's hard because then none of us enjoyed the book, but I think it might have just been the narrator. So I've been avoiding her books, but I think people like them. This tells you no information on the back. Starts out Monday, May 27th, 1776. "The best time to talk to ghosts is just before the sun comes up." That is interesting. I was assuming it has something to do with the slavery in the US, but it really bothers me that it has no information here. And then sometimes they have it on the inside, but this one doesn't even. I don't really know what it's about. Ooh, this one's been on my shelf, I think, even before BookTube. Jasper and the Riddle of Riley's Mine. I really like a couple of Carolyn Starr Rose's books, and so I got this one, and then I've never read it. This one is either historical fiction or involves some kind of time travel. Ever since their mother passed away and their mourning father became a drunk, 11-year-old Jasper and his older brother Melvin have been desperate to get away from the small town Kirkland, Washington, to seek out adventure and riches beyond their wildest dreams. It's the start of the Klondike Gold Rush, and Jasper knows now's their chance. Except when it's time to go, Melvin takes off without him. But Jasper refuses to be left behind. Yes, Maybe is one of my favorite books by Carolyn Starr Rose. I also really like Bluebirds. Those are both novels in verse though, and this is just a regular novel. I gotta let Tolkien out of the room. Okay, give him like 20 seconds and he'll be meowing to get back in here. We do have a map again. This book like creaks every time I open it. Chapter 1. The blanket over my head. Don't block out the sound. A tapping at the window, sharp as hailstones. I don't know. I think I'm gonna miss her. Like, I wish she wrote this in free verse. That's my fear with this book. That's kind of why I've been avoiding reading it, because I think the whole time I'm reading it, I'm just going to be wishing she had written it in a different format. Okay, one last book on this list. It was a cover buy, but I think I've heard good things. People say good things about it. A Wolf Called Wander. I don't know anything. I howled to the new moon. I put all my strength and all my hopes into the howl. The echo of it rings from the mountaintops. Swift, a wild wolf cub, lives with his pack in the mountains. When a rival pack attacks, Swift and his family scatter, and Swift sets out on an incredible journey through dense forests, into barren wilderness, and across flowing water. So I often don't like it when books are from the viewpoint of animals. There are some exceptions, like a middle grade exception that I love is packs. So I feel like this could go either way, but I really liked the cover. Oh, and it's got some like cool illustrations inside too. I begin in darkness and my nose tells me everything I know. So there's like little illustrations as we go, so that'll be interesting. Oh yeah, there's lots of illustrations. Oh, these are beautiful. That is really cool. What? It may be hard to tell on camera, but I really like that. Okay, so that is my extra large winter TBR, and it's gonna get bigger because every month I'm gonna talk about other books, and I purposefully did not put any library books on this list. I could have, but I want to reduce the books on my shelf, and so I'm trying to focus on my own books and then sneak in some library books here and there. So I would love to hear if you guys have some winter book recommendations, things that you plan on reading in the winter, and let me know if there's any books on the stack that you want me to try to prioritize that you think I'm gonna really like or that you're very curious about. And I will be back. So today's Friday. I will be back again Monday, and then I will be posting a video every weekday. So I hope you guys don't get sick of me, but thanks for hanging out with me.